tell me how you really feel. This pandemic is turning me into a punk. Keisha, I want you to introduce yourself and then we'll go right into it.
I am NaKeesha Davis Weston. I am formerly a member of Mississippi Boulevard's pastoral staff. That's probably where most people know me from. I was the children and middle school pastor there for about 6 years, where I did full-time ministry with some amazing people, which really broadened my ministry, gave me wings to fly. It was so funny, and it's funny how you meet people. I've been doing ministry. In September, I have been preaching for 14 years.
Wow.
14 years.
14 years. Wow.
And in November, it will be 11 years that I have been ordained. I've been doing ordained ministry. So,
wow.
Some people also know me in this really raw, truth, transparent, telling way at CoverGirl 13. www.covergirl13 is my blog, and I just tell all my business, just all my business. And new business will be dropped on tomorrow. Here's what the Lord gave me, and I'll just tell you really briefly. I in the last 6 years of my life has taken some tumbles. And if you go to my blog, you can read all about it, tell all my stuff. But what I recognized is that when I went through this particular thing, I had a car accident. And my daughter was 9 months old, my youngest daughter. And what happened was the women at Mississippi Boulevard rallied around me. Those women did everything from buy toilet paper to the right sanitary napkins. Listen. And it was just something about, now the men gave money, and I'm not slighting the brothers. The brothers saw about me. But it was something about the way the women came about. And it was like, no, I'm not just going to buy you any kind of tissue. What kind of tissue do you like? Right. And so from that, what I discovered is that God covers us so that we can cover each other. I deeply believe that we overcome by the word of our testimony. But if I don't tell my truth, then when I tell my truth, then it gives you freedom and language to tell your truth. And so I am grateful to do this work in whatever platform the Lord gives me. And, I'm grateful to have met somebody that is my kin. Listen, Sean and I met doing ministry with Latrice Ryan. And most people who would do ministry for somebody that dynamic would see each other as this competition. But when I tell you, when I was preaching, she was on her feet, and when she was preaching, I was on my feet. Yes. I mean, it was like we knew each other from birth, and we just fell in love with each other from then, and we've gotten to do work since then. But I mean, and it's just so organic, and it's like having a whole system. And I just love you. And listen, wow, I have refreshed this makeup 3 times because this is my 6th hour being in front of a computer on a screen. But for you, it's all good.
So again, I appreciate Keisha taking the time to be here in the Destiny Den tonight. As Keisha said, we met doing ministry, and believe it or not, even though a friendship has organically evolved, we've been doing ministry ever since. And it's just something to be said when a young sister can link up with an older sister and just be able to be their authentic selves, do what God has called them to do, and in the midst of it all, get some laughs in and swap some nuggets. Listen, tell me how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. This pandemic is turning me into a punk. So let me set it up really quickly. Let me say this. I was thinking earlier today, Keisha, about why haven't I had much to say? Why haven't I had much to say? I think my mama done dropped a comment. Let me read it. We as women need to hear this because we act so jealous of each other like we don't have a past life. That's it, Dorothy. I was sitting today and I was like, why haven't I had much to say during this time, right? And I thought about it, and it's really simple. For some of us, we can't afford to get into a depressed state. For some of us, we can't afford to get caught up in the media, in the news. And it's not that we're insensitive. It is not that we're discounting anything that's happening in these times. But for some of us, when you survive darkness, you don't want no glimpse of it. I said, you know what, God? I knew we were going into tonight. I knew we were going to unpack just some emotions, because we do realize emotions are everywhere during this time, during this pandemic. And I've been seeing some of your posts, Keesha, and they're so in direct just opposition to what's going on with our government, what's happening in our schools. Keesha didn't tell you she's also in education as well, so we also share that commonality, right? And what Keesha didn't mention, she's a mama, and you know what? I ain't heard nobody talk about parents. We're talking about what's happening in our educational system. We're talking about what's happening with our churches and in the government. But listen, my prayers go out to the mamas and the daddies at the house. That I'm sure has been a huge shift, right? Absolutely. Not everyone. I always tell people have been asking me, well, how is Madison? Listen, you can put Madison in a corner. And for 8 hours, she'll read a book, she'll be on the computer, she'll be on her phone, and she good, right? Everybody is not like that. And I just got one.
Not
right?
McAtack.
Exactly, because McAtack was just in on the side before we started this video, right? And so it's a lot of different emotions from a lot of different lenses. So we want to try to unpack some of those lenses tonight. But I really said with that thing, and I kind of let myself off the hook when I was thinking about tonight. I'm like, you know what, man, I'm not mad. You know, I'm not sad. I'm not depressed. I have not felt the weight of this thing like others have had. And again, that doesn't mean that realities are not real and I'm not sensitive. That's just, that's not my personality, right? Yeah. And I was sitting with that thing earlier, and God was like, you know, everyone has a different place in this thing, right? Yeah. There are a lot of people that have suffered through this pandemic. We've lost a lot of people on a lot of different fronts, right? This sickness and this virus is indeed real, but then there's also some huge testimonies and some great blessings that have come through this time. And I have to testify really quickly before I get too deep. Listen, I'll tell anybody, baby, this whole thing allowed me to catch my breath. Ain't no sense in it. And so again, whereas that doesn't discount what Keesha may be experiencing or what Keesha may be feeling. I want us tonight to give ourselves permission to feel however we gonna feel. Absolutely. That's to demonize anybody for how they feel, whether that's good, bad, up, down, whatever, right? So that's A, right? But then 2, I want us to create space where we're able to celebrate our wins and then also mourn over our losses, right? And I believe, because the Bible teaches there's a time for everything. And so on tonight, I want us to intentionally make time for, listen, this was a win, but baby girl, this was a loss, right? And so again, I want us to be intentional about, I wanted to frame that tonight. And so when Keesha approached me with this notion of this pandemic is turning me into a punk, I said, yeah, this is going to be good, because I think I done found my strength. So right there is a contrasting thing. I want to hear it.
So first, you know, I started to wear my shirt that says words mean things, because I think that, you know, the etymology of words, and words can mean several things to several people. So when I say, let me give a definition. When I say that that the pandemic is turning me to a punk, that is not to offend my siblings, my brothers and sisters, my cousins, and the LGBTQ community. That's not where I'm coming from.
Wow.
You are God's created beloved. You are God's heartbeat. And that's not what this is coming from. So I want to be clear about what I want to tell you is that I'm a South Memphis hood rat. Just listen, I grew up in the Fowler homes and I moved on up, you know, to South Parkway in Mississippi. Like, when I say a punk, listen, I've been a G about everything. Like, I take losses. And, you know, I turn it into lessons. Like, that's just what I do. Life has dealt me some bad hands, and I just come back. I remember one of my girlfriends telling me, she was like, you know, Weston, if I didn't know you the way I know you and know your story the way I know your story, I wouldn't think you've been through anything, because you don't look like what you've been through and you don't carry it the way other people can. And so I'm used to being able to tough it out. But when I tell you that this pandemic has turned me into a punk, I mean that. Listen, I've been in my feelings about everything. If it's something to be in your feelings about, I have been in my feelings about it. And so one of the things that, you know, I did, I'm going to be honest, I just had to go up my time with my therapist. I was like, come on, sis, come in the room. And one of the things that I had to really say to myself is, it's okay.
It's okay.
To not be okay.
Yeah.
And to use your words, we just don't give each other permission. Yes. I tried to hide it for such a long time that I was not okay, because there are so many people, and this is not a pat on the back for me. This is the anointing that God has given me. But there are so many people who look at me as a picture of strength. I'm not saying that people look at me and think I'm perfect, but God has given me grace to carry some tough things very well. When I was 7 years old, I was molested from 7 to 9. I mean, almost every day. This happened to me in a place that was supposed to be safe. I have been in abusive relationships. I've seen abuse in my home. I've seen drug abuse, in my home. Listen, I've been without lights. I had 2 daughters by the time I was 20. I just, and then, this is the way I like to tell it. And my ex-husband knows this. I tell it just like this. Listen, the man that I love, holding the baby that I had for him at 36 years old, walked into the kitchen that I had just cleaned, eating the food that I had just prepared, wearing the clothes I washed, bought, and ironed. Walked into my kitchen, baby, and told me he didn't want to do this no more. I thought the man wanted to quit his job. He was talking about he didn't want to do this. The man said he didn't want to do this no more, girl. I thought the man wanted to quit his job. I didn't know what he was talking about. But let me tell you something. This pandemic came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
None of us were prepared for this. And I'm just wondering, all the preachers was talking about 2020, this the new vision. Where was y'all vision to tell us about this pandemic? So I could have bought some toilet tissue. I'm just
saying. Listen, wait a minute, Paul. First of all, listen. So y'all, first of all, we talked about this a few weeks, maybe last week or so. When you know you are better, when you know you are healed, you can talk about something and laugh, right? Yeah. Keisha, I get a great laugh every time I hear Keisha speak, because again, she it's not that she just keep it so hood, but as we know, and she proudly says she's from South Memphis, but she, again, it's ladies' night tonight, baby. And what she just did, she framed the fact that, hey, I done been through real briefly this, but this past pandemic still trumped them in a way that again has caused her to look. Wait a minute, hold up, man. I can all apply Keisha from this lens of. I want to say this. I think that all women, at some point or another, are graced to carry a level of strength. Absolutely. I think the Bible shows us that since the very beginning, this level of grace that women are able to exude. So naturally, we're the ones, when the world is panicking, we trying to just figure ish out. Right? We're trying to get it together. We're trying to figure out how do we still survive, feed the kids, take care of the house, go to work, all of the above, and at the same time still make time for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and the therapist, right? And so at the end of the day, this really speaks to again, since it's ladies' night, we just gonna go here again, the weight of what women carry, right? The weight of what women carry, and in this time, what's missing, I believe, is more of the female voice, right? I want to say that most of the narrative we've heard, and not looking necessarily from a man-woman voice, but the narrative has been more masculine, if that makes any kind of sense, right? Where is the femininity in all of this, right? And so when people, I've been listening to those that have been the woe is me and I'm like, what? Listen, we still trying to figure out where the kids gonna go to school, and we already shopping for uniforms, right? At the same time of still trying to remain present in the moment, right? And so and this is not a feminist message by any means, right? But the reality of it is, I feel like there's a voice that's missing in these conversations, right? Whether that's in the back rooms, in the boardrooms, in the deacon boardrooms, there's a voice, there's a perspective that's missing when we're really talking about this notion of, look, man, I've been through stuff my whole life. Y'all done? Y'all done tapped out? I am intrigued to hear how then, Keisha, I'm gonna push you a little further.
Okay.
When you put it into this comparison notion of, my husband walked in the kitchen and said, look, I don't want to do this no more. I'm thinking he was talking about the job.
I'm gonna take a long way around. So
that's
stick
fine.
with me. A friend of mine named Reverend Sekou says that nostalgia is a form of mourning. One more time.
Mm.
Nostalgia is a form of mourning. And
Mm.
so as you remember what was, what could have been, what you thought would have been, what should have been, you also mourn what could have been, what should have been, what may have been, what will
Mm-hmm.
be, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so coming from a person who has lost a lot in the
Mm-hmm.
last 6 years, this is not a woe is me story. I laugh, at this point. So I want people to know that I don't laugh because it never hurt. I laugh because I'm better. I
Mm-hmm.
don't laugh because it's trivial. I laugh because God gave me the last laugh.
Right. Don't he
But
always?
and
Yeah.
but to put it into conversation with each other, I when my husband came into the house and said that to me, everything that I thought that would be, I had to then begin to mourn that and reshape life into
Mm.
something different. I had to begin to dream a new dream. I
Yeah.
had
I hear
to
you.
imagine a new normal on top of this grief. Now, if we put it into space with this pandemic, then we know after September 11, life was never the same.
Same. Right.
If we are clear
Good.
thinking, we know that after this pandemic, life will not go back to being the way that it was. We
Absolutely.
will not go back as business as usual. And this is for another live, another time, but I don't want it to.
Exactly.
I don't want it to. I do not want to go
Exactly.
back to a world that oppresses and marginalizes and trivializes people
Yes.
and puts big business and profit over people and healthcare. I don't want to go back to a world
Right.
where healthcare is tied to employment. I
Yeah.
don't want to go back to a world where feeding children is tied to them being in school every day. I just don't
Yes.
want to go back
Yes.
to a
Yes.
world.
And
I don't
or
want to
lack
go back to a
thereof. Yes.
world
Yes.
where children do not have access to internet and children have this big divide between what their capacity is and what they actually learn because of poverty. I don't want to go back to that world, but
Yeah.
that's another life or another
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so in this pandemic, once we realized that the outside was shut down, we had to mourn some stuff. Now, I
Mm.
don't care if what you were mourning was your girl's trip because you deserved it. Okay?
Listen.
Mourn that
So
thing.
morning.
I don't care if you listen, this don't sound a little racist. I promise it's not. It's just funny. I can't wait for Ming Lee to tell me pick a color. Pick a color. I'm mourning.
Listen.
Even
Yes.
if you are
Yes.
grieving, just being able to sit in your beautician's chair and
There.
have shop talk with your
Yeah.
beautician, grieve that. But some of us are grieving something deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's another thing for me. My friend girls are gonna laugh. I know if my friend Janae is on this, she's gonna laugh. I am what we call an ambivert.
Okay.
I am a perfect blend between an introvert and an extrovert. You meet me out, you would think that I am just the biggest extreme extrovert in the world, right? But I process information with people. I call
Mm.
Sean sometimes like, sis, I gotta run this past you, and she does the same to me. I process information with people. I have a preaching
Yeah.
partner who I run
Yeah.
my sermons through. You know, I have one of my work best friend. My work
Right.
best friend, I have to go down there to her and process these lesson plans. You
Right.
know, I have friends who I call. Janae is one of my friends. We have children that are around the same age and we're the same age. I process parenting with her. But I also need to process in my own head, in my
Yeah.
own mind, in my own heart, with my own reflections, just me and God and my pencil and my paper. And
Yeah.
so being an ambivert, I need this time alone, but I need people.
Need the energy of
I'm just
others.
gonna, I need that. This world has thrown us into being glued to Zoom and Teams and Skype in such a way where we don't know how to make that kind of time for each other. So
Yeah.
I have mourned being able to be with my friends. I'm a hugger. I
Yes.
love to hug.
Yes.
I have not had a hug from an adult person in 6 weeks. Okay?
I ain't had one from a man in about 16 years. Like,
Listen,
listen,
listen, listen, listen.
listen.
I am always laughing. The joke is that Mackenzie says that she wants a stepdad, and she's
Okay.
already named her stepdad. Her
Oh, come
stepdad's
on.
name is Jamarion, and I was like, Mackenzie, listen.
That must be your.
Jamarion was born in 1997. He's still working on his rap career, and he messing up women's credit. That's. I'm sorry if y'all know a Jamarion, but I'm just telling you, that's how I feel,
Ooh,
right? So let's not
listen,
even talk about a man. A hug from a man. Okay.
listen. Wait a
But
minute.
I mourn. And really, this was also I gotta put it out. This was also the season I'm mourning myself, saying that I'm gonna put myself out there. This was the year I was saying I'm gonna go on a date this year. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna trust my circle. I'm gonna trust my
Yeah.
own self. I'm gonna
Yeah.
trust the work that I've done on myself, and I'm gonna get
Mm-hmm.
out there. So I'm mourning that.
Morning
You
that. Yeah.
know, I'm mourning my students. I'm mourning my children who I was their safe place. I'm mourning, my children who were struggling that may have to fail this semester because they have to fail this year because I didn't have that last quarter to just
Yeah.
push them into overdrive.
Yeah.
And you know what? Whatever you're mourning, it is okay.
It
And
is okay.
if you are
It is
mourning nothing, it's also okay.
okay.
Here's what I want women and people to do is to give ourselves permission to be wherever we are
Yeah.
and work from there.
You two things I wanna harping on. The one is this notion of processing
Yes.
and how you have compartmentalized how not necessarily how you process, but with whom you process with, and those various categories of people, right? I think it's so critical. I'm big on relationships. I
Mm-hmm.
listen. I think they are the carousel of life, right? And
Right.
so in this time, I think you have to look. I pay attention to individuals, and I would
Absolutely.
argue a part of my Holy Ghost gift is discerning what kind of people you've been connected to. I
Yep.
think I got it down to a Holy Ghost science.
Mm-hmm.
I can just about by your actions, by your behaviors, by your dispositions, I can almost say like, you missing this, and
Yeah.
or you have this, right? And I think in this time, I would argue that in this time it is very critical to do an audit
Mm-hmm.
on not necessarily who my circle is, but who are those people that Proverbs teaches us the iron. Do I
Mm-hmm.
have those people to sharpen? Do I have those to challenge? Do I have those to thought partners with me in whatever
Mm-hmm.
space? Because I
Mm-hmm.
would argue that those are the ones that, again, to your point, help you gain this level of access and help you gain a level of
Yep.
permission to say it's okay. It's
It's okay.
okay to be this as long as we're working towards this, right? And
Absolutely.
I think we have to do a better job of framing this notion of giving permission, granting space and access. Yes, and that
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be done void a push. Right, that shouldn't
Absolutely.
be done void a challenge. I'm not gonna let Keisha dwaddle in depression for too long. I don't give a flap for what she say. I'm not
Right.
about to let Keisha dwaddle in defeat or feeling. And again, that doesn't mean I'm not giving her time and
Yeah.
space, but it's a good balance because
Yeah.
again, I really don't know maybe what her triggers are, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
afford to let her go too deep.
Well.
And you got some that want to be like, but I'm still on the problem. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
That's just not my assignment.
Yeah.
I'm the person that's gonna help you process the
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
I'm not the person that leverages the problem. I'm the
Right.
person that helps you process the solution. And that's good right there. We have to know who we are to whom in this thing, right? There are
Absolutely.
some that I will call and vent to. There are some I will call and cry to. They won't say nothing. They'll just listen. But I also have to honor those that when I call, Sean, we're not hearing no whining. We're not hearing no complaining. What you finna do? So it's this notion of processing. But then you need people that's gonna help you process and then push you to dream again.
Right.
Because when your paradigm shifted, when your world shifted, you said something. I had to dream anew. Right? Because I realized, as you said, nostalgia is a form of mourning. Okay, as I'm in that space, I also need a community, a circle, destiny partners, and relationships that'll say, okay, Keesha, now as you've given yourself space and permission to mourn, I want to admonish you to create space and access to dream anew.
Yeah.
And see, I'm worried. I'm worried, sister, that in this time of this pandemic, and all of us are feeling some kind of way, depending upon the day and how the sun shine or not, that we will miss the opportunity. We're giving ourselves space to feel and have our emotions, but are we really being just as intentional around giving ourselves the space to dream anew? What will my new normal look like?
Right? And so
I don't want to go back. Go ahead.
I think there's so God has, listen, I remember when I went into ministry, I had 3 women who pushed me or birthed me into ministry. I've always needed more than the most, right? So one of listen, it was 3 women who pushed me into ministry. And then I remember I'll just call this group, that's what we called ourselves, the Purple Group. And we would go to this and one of them's on the call right now, or the live right now. We were in this Purple Group, and we could say anything to each other in this Purple Group. And then, I mean, we would just go, we would throw, and they was like, okay. And so one of the things that they knew about me, and I'll be honest, one of the pieces of residue that stayed on me that I'll then tie into this pandemic was after I got a divorce, starting from maybe about Thanksgiving to my birthday, which is in January, I went into a depression. I was not okay. And what I began to understand later after processing it with this Purple Group was that I was feeling this sense of failure and brokenness in my marriage or from the marriage. My oldest girls had gone to school. It was just me and Mackenzie. I didn't have a family to cook for. I didn't have a family to gather around the tree with. I didn't have a family to make these memories, a family of my own in my own house, right? And so after we processed it, they were like, okay, so when you calling a therapist? Not insensitive at all. They took that time to process it with me. And it took me a little while. There were quite a few conversations where they just had to pull a little more, pull a little more. You know, I call one of my sisters, Berzola Law, I call her Beloved. Because let me tell you something.
Mama Law.
Beloved will walk the dead.
Listen.
To the light. And she, listen, I've never seen anything like it before. But she has been one of those people. I remember Mackenzie is a rainbow baby because I miscarried before Mackenzie. And I didn't want to be pregnant. I was in a failed marriage with that baby. And Brazola looked at me. After I miscarried, I was like, I don't want to be bothered by anybody. I'm at home. My belly is empty. And so to give it context, let me say it this way. I preached on Christmas Day at Mississippi Boulevard. That's so huge. I preached on Christmas Day at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church. And then 3 days later, okay, I love you. 3 days later, okay, goodbye. 3 days later, and I was pregnant. I preached pregnant. 3 days later, there's no baby. I told everybody I didn't want to deal. Berzola gave me exactly 24 hours from the time I said I didn't want to deal. Knock on the door, fresh fruit, all my favorite foods. Hey, let me up in here. Listen, that's it. Brazola bring babies in the world and walk folks to the next dimension. You ain't lying, Janae. That's what she did.
Listen.
And so, these the Lord has gifted me with people. Janae, I'm gonna tell all my business. Janae was my supervisor at Mississippi Boulevard, and Janae told me something that was so hurtful but so true. She said, "Listen," she said, "you are an amazing dreamer." She said, "But listen, unless I push you to the wall, unless I push you to the fire, you're not gonna, your plans will fall flat. You dream these huge dreams."
Yeah.
She said, "And then they fall flat." She said, "Unless I push you to the wall, and I don't want that to be you." That hurt me.
Yeah.
But I had to accept that. And so to come back to your point, I had to have these groups of people to be able to hear me, listen to me, understand me, help me discern, help me process, give me space, but keep pushing me, And so they are the ones who are saying, "Hey, I hadn't seen anything new on the blog. Where is it?"
Yeah.
Okay, we've been doing this same blog for 2 years.
Right.
Where are we going? Okay.
Yep.
This been your stick on the road for about the last year. Where did it stick? Right? And so to put that in conversation with the pandemic, I had to talk to mostly women, but to my friends.
Yeah.
To my friends that knew me. And they had to give me permission and space to feel, to not to be the strong one, to say that it's okay that you're not feeling okay. It's okay that you're missing out on hugs. It's okay that you're missing your children. It's okay that you are mourning what your life could have looked like if you would have ventured out and began today. It's okay that you are worried about these students that you've taken care of like a mother. It's okay to wonder what's going to happen with Mackenzie now that she's not getting those social skills, because my baby is a brainiac, but she needs those social skills, right? And so because I had to dream up something new. I had to dream. And listen, I mourned. Can I tell you the truth and push it a little bit? There were some friends who did not have time to sit on the phone with me and process fully. And they hurt my feelings. They hurt my feelings. I felt unimportant. I felt devalued. I felt, unworthy of their time. I felt all kinds of ways, and I just felt like, and so I began to mourn. And this is what I said. This is part of the blog that will come out tomorrow. I know that God can resurrect anything, right? But I kept saying, okay, God, when you resurrect this, what would it look like? I can just imagine when Jesus went up to the tomb and was about to resurrect Lazarus, they was like, wait, he already stinking.
Right.
He's been in there a long time.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about this. What is this going to look like? And so as we dream again, as we reimagine, as we think about this new normal, as God does resurrect, because that's what God does. God resurrects things, but we don't always know what resurrection looks like.
Will look like.
And so that is where I am. As I am moving into this space of dreaming again, hoping again, reimagining, moving into this new normal, deciding that I don't want what the old normal was. Now my question is, okay, God, when you resurrect, what will it look like? What will resurrection look like for me?
Yeah. I believe a part of that answer lives already within you.
I can believe that.
I believe that a part of that answer for each of us lives within us. I would argue that the manifestation of your question or that pondering literally lives in your own capacity, and your ability to be nimble with God, right? And to be free enough, here's again, give yourself permission to say, okay, look, whatever. I would argue that God is like, you know what? it can look however you want it to look like. That's the beauty to me of this blank canvas notion. That how can you, and here's the push, how can you sit in what you're currently sitting in, the mourning, the grief, the agony, the questions, the uncertainty, and steal from that birth? Because see, that is where I get life at. I look at, so here's been my wrestle with people. Like, I'm not tripping on how you feeling. I'm saying what will now be produced from that. I want to take the wrestlings of this time, that guess what? And I want to give myself permission to sit with it, so that I'm sitting in it, I'm sitting with it, I'm processing it, and from that I'm still able to give life. Because see, to me, on the other side of this, resurrection will be that of a story of triumph. It has to be.
Janae told me this. Sometimes you don't finish first. Sometimes you don't even finish well. Sometimes you just finish.
Listen. And I'll say this before you go on. I say this being a former softball player. Listen, sometimes it ain't even about hitting the home run. It's just about hitting the ball hard enough, far enough to get on.
One of the things that I think the Lord is doing, let me be clear about my theology. I don't think the Lord caused COVID. I don't think that the Lord is using COVID as punishment or this is judgment on the world.
Agree. I fully agree. I
don't reconcile that with the loving God, right? But I do think that all things work together for the good of us, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that I believe is that, to your point, COVID is letting us catch our breath in some way.
Yes.
It's letting us stabilize ourselves.
Yes.
It's letting us dream again in some way. Letting us mourn and reimagine in some way. Yes. And it's letting us develop our own measuring stick.
Here we are again with what to do with our children, that our children, our Black kids are disenfranchised.
Say it.
Again, these been my fights pre-pandemic, and by the looks of it, it's going to be the fight post-pandemic. And so for me, it's like, okay, Sean, go inward. Go inward. Mourn what you need to mourn so you don't be mad, right? Mourn so you don't be mad. And then, Sean, create what you would like your resurrection to look like, and tap into the God in you and allow God to manifest that reality. If that makes any kind of sense. Like,
it makes sense.
That's my personal posture.
And I think you said it well. And one of my friend girls said this. She said, somebody asked, where is God in the pandemic? And she said, God is where God has always been. God has always been on the side of the oppressed. God has always been close to the brokenhearted. God has always been wiping tears and renewing minds and restoring hearts. That's where God has not stopped doing that. And I argue also that God stands in solidarity with us. And I'll even push and say that God is mourning with us in these moments, right? Yeah. So here's what I will say. To your point, the pandemic turned me into a punk, right? But here is why I cannot stay a punk. Because there is too much to do. Right. What I won't do is go through hell just to go through hell again. And so here's what I feel for us. I give all of us room and space and grace to mourn what was, what could be, what should have been. Some our feet get mad, but then we got to rise from those ashes.
Yeah.
We have to, as you say, go inward, dig deeper, and whatever that looks like for you.
Whatever.
And I want to even push, listen, if that looks like having a therapist, get you one.
If
that looks like having a weekly conversation with a good girlfriend that's going to tell you how it really is, do that. Yeah. It looks like you getting on your anxiety meds, your ADHD meds, your bipolar meds, do that.
Right. Yes.
That's why I can stay a punk. The pandemic has made me a punk, but I can't stay one. Grieve, mourn, process, reimagine, dream again, and get your butt to work and get to work. Because there's some divine destiny, there's some purpose that is in you. And there is, listen, so I'll give you this nugget. I was on a call the other morning. The Samuel DeWitt Proctor conference has it called Everyone That's 7 in the Morning. It's amazing. So an amazing preacher by the name of Willie Francois.
Yeah.
I love me some Willie Francois.
Girl, me too. Listen. I have
So Willie Francois says,
story about him later.
He tells a story about a little girl who, since she was really little, she loved geography. She loved the world. She loved native places. She loved maps and she loved atlases. And all she wanted for her 8th birthday was a globe. And so here comes her 8th birthday. He's at the party. She opens up present after present. Great presents, but she's still looking for the globe. She opened up this. You know, a preacher always got to retell it like they tell it. She opened up a teapot. It's good, but it ain't a globe. She opened up this doll. Hey, I like that doll, but it ain't my globe. She opened up a new pair of shoes. Listen, they my favorite color, but it ain't a globe. So she gets down to the last present, and it's shaped in this square shape, and it shakes and it's making noise. And she like, listen, all I asked for was a globe. This ain't a globe. So she goes ahead, she opens it up anyway, and it's a puzzle. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle of the world. And so as she opens this up, she takes it out, she dumps it on the floor, and she looks up at her mother and she says, Mama, all I asked you for was a globe, and you gave me this mess. This is a mess. And her mother says, it is a mess, but we can put this mess back together. And all I'm saying to you as I close is that I'm a punk. The pandemic has made me a punk. I've been in my feelings. Life has changed. It's not the same. It's not okay. It's not what I asked for. It's not what I would have imagined. It's not what I would have dreamed. I don't know what to do with this mess. It's a mess. What I do know is that when we connect with the divine and we hook up in our divine destiny, when we hear from God, when we download from God, when we hook in, when we take time to reflect, process, we get ourselves together, we move some of ourselves out the way. What I know is that we can put this mess back together, and you can do no part. See, and here's the thing. I'm not creative like Sean, but God didn't call me to be creative like Sean.
That's it.
God called me to be transparent like NaKeesha. See, what I understand is I can't put out books. I can't preach like Sarah Jakes. Listen, you can take it off the dome, but God didn't call me to be Sarah Jakes. God called me.
Come on, ma'am.
NaKeesha, here's what I understand. I can't quote text to preach without a manuscript. God didn't call me to do that. God said, use your manuscript, baby, because I called you to be NaKeesha. And here's the thing. When I move myself out of myself, when I process my feelings, when I get down to the bottom of it, I reconnect with God. We can put this mess back together.
What we will be able to manifest together is greater than any mess that has been made.
Do you remember the women, the birthing mothers who sat on those stools? And together, hey, it wasn't a bunch of them, but together they brought babies in this world and didn't let those babies die.
Yeah,
it was in order that those male babies would die.
Yeah.
But together.
Together. That's a whole word.
And all of them were only doing their little piece.
Together.
And so I have to put my together with your together. And here's the thing. I have to know what my together is.
Ma'am, another lie.
That's part of it.
The identity piece. We go back to it
all the time.
We go back to it. And so if anything that causes me any unrest is that notion, and I would argue and I would concur with that. It is a level of missing identity. When you tap into who you are, you can appreciate not just what you bring, but you can appreciate who Sean is. Because you also will appreciate who Sean is not.
Right.
And so we going back to them processing partners. I'm not going to help you process your problem, but I will help you strategize the solutions. If we can understand, look, this whole puzzle done failed, it's a mess, but if we can do it together, for me, that hasn't turned me into a punk. That's literally going to be what turns me into a powerhouse. This pandemic going to mess around and catapult those of us, I believe that like, God, we ready. Put us in, coach.
Yeah.
Right? And let's do two things. Let's go retreat and gather those who might have fallen due to the realities of this pandemic. Let's help build them back up.
Yeah.
Let's help empower them. Let's help restore them. Let's help give them a level of strength so that they can too join in and carry on. But it's also for those to be the onlookers, like, but we're pressing forward to the high mark, right? Because there's too much to do in a very little time, and we got to be able to do it together.
Yeah.
So my sister can feel how she want to feel on tonight. My sister can be a punk all she want on tonight, because guess what? God didn't team up no punk with no punk. He teamed up a punk with a powerhouse, and I'm gonna push the punk up out of her and say, come on, let's go do power together.
I just, and I think this is another live, so I think we're gonna have to do it another time. But I do think that part of why we don't put the mess together is so it's two things. I think Mama Dorothy hit on one of it, and you and I hit on it before we started the live. There is this theology of scarcity. There's not enough. There's not enough shine. There's not enough glory. There's not enough pulpit. There's not enough ministry. There's not enough Facebook likes. It's not enough, right? And if your purpose looks anything like what God told me my purpose was, then I must have misheard.
Yes.
Right? And so that's one thing. The other thing is, even if that's not our lot or our stopping point, then we just don't understand what our identity is. So it's hard to put the mess back together when you don't know what your together part is. And so the prayer becomes, and so that's why some of us stay punk so long, is because we are not processing just how we feel. But we are missing the part where we process what we should do, right? So we don't dig deep enough into the feelings to say, why do I feel that? What is that connected to, right?
Yeah.
And then come up and say, oh, okay, right? And so there, I leave some things for my blog, but there are some things that I have processed through that are the root of why I felt the way that I felt. Absolutely. And I had to deal with that root. And part of that root brought me back to my identity. Who are you? That's unmovable. That's unshakable. That's undamageable. No matter what happens, right? And so because we don't know that. And I'm gonna even push it a little further, because we sit in churches and pews all the time and they don't teach you. Because purpose is way more than you paying your tithes and showing up and having your attendance marked on the roster. Going to Sunday school, working in the women's ministry, or going to women's ministry events. There is something that God created your hands and feet to do that nobody else can do. Now listen, God's work's going to get done, but it wouldn't get done. Listen, there's some woman, somebody could have showed up on this live with you. I'm not indisposable, but could nobody have shown up on this live the way NaKeesha showed up on this live? Do you understand? And so, and I'm still, listen, if I'm being honest, I'm still developing or discovering, not developing. I'm still discovering my identity in a lot of ways. I'm still giving myself permission to co-create with God.
Yes.
That's
good. Yeah.
And so I think, yes, I'm a punk. I've been grieving. I can't stay a punk because it's too much to do. The mess is too big. We got to put it together. But before we do that, we gotta go before God.
Yes.
And figure out. First of all, we gotta say, God, you are more than enough, and mean that, and not just that hymn that you're more than. We gotta get deeper than that. Yeah. God, we gotta really believe that the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to God, and the hill that the cattle on, and the grass that it eat, and the green grass that grew all around.
Yes.
Okay? We gotta believe
and
that.
Around and around.
And around and around. And then we have got to latch hold to this purpose in a way that we say, God, I believe you.
Yeah.
And listen, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
When Mackenzie go to the store, first of all, Mackenzie goes to the store and she wants something every single time she goes to the store. It might be 50 cents. It might be $50.
Right.
Kids gonna get some every time we go to the store. Mackenzie pick up what she wants. She put it on the conveyor belt. Mackenzie don't even flinch about how it's gonna get paid for. You know why? Because her mama told her she could have it.
Yeah.
Her mama promised that to her.
Right. Right.
And when she put something on, listen, sometimes when she puts stuff on the conveyor belt, a little later, the cashier will look at me and I'll say, yep.
It's okay. Yeah.
That's that too. Here is what I'm explaining to you.
Yeah.
Once you connect with God, and God has promised you and downloaded destiny into you, and God has connected you with purpose, and you have understood that purpose, we need to latch on to it like Mackenzie latch on to them gifts in that store. And we put it on the conveyor belt. And I don't know how you gonna do it, God, but it's on you. I don't care who say I can't do it. They need to look to God, because God gonna say it's all right. It don't know how it's gonna get paid for. Don't know how it's all gonna get done. Don't know how it's all gonna get figured out. But what I understand is that this is God's tab and not mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how we go from punk to powerhouse.
Yes.
That's how we go from being in our feelings to putting the mess back together. And that's how, if I push it a little further, we walk out of the pandemic into a new normal that's better and more equitable and more sustainable and more loving, more righteous. I'm gonna replay this and write it, because I ain't wrote this.
And I will end here with that challenge to you.
Yes.
You know, there are sisters like me who are looking all of the time for mentors, not necessarily mentors, but the path.
Yes.
Right? And okay, we realize we stand on you all's shoulders, the pastor laws, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
We stand on Mama Law's shoulders. I do.
Absolutely. I do.
Even though she was my parent when I was teaching Pro Jasmine. But guess what? I witnessed history that weekend at Lindenwood, right? Along with her. Right? Oh, that's why I've made my way to that sanctuary so I could see, right?
I had
history. Right? I needed to see it, because that's a seed. It's possible.
A seed.
It was a seed, right? And so I can sit here now, and it's probably what has continued to propel me in a space that I know ain't meant for us chicks. I know it's not. I don't care what they say. We talked about this a little before we got on. It's some great preachers out there who is not trying to hurt no chick.
Yeah.
They just not. I mean, it's so unfortunate. And so the reality of it is, a girl like me needs a girl like you to not just break the goddamn glass ceiling, right? But you know what? Ain't no ceiling. Ain't no walls. Ain't no ceilings. And so for those of, we have to use opportunities and spaces like this. And again, it could be, the idea who I know me to be. I refuse to allow this pandemic to go on and to pass without birthing something. And the nigga in me ain't gonna let that happen, right? And I realize I'm offending some for that posture. But to your point, I know the assignment that's on my life, right? And then I'm afraid, and what we don't talk about, I got a 13-year-old. I can't afford to be that much of a punk for too long. What?
I can't.
And I have a child, like most children, that feed off my energy.
Absolutely.
So whether some may go home to an empty house or may have a partner helping them do life, I go home, it's me and her.
It's me and her.
So my moments of whatever have to be done maybe outside in my truck. Because if I come in, that energy will transfer to my baby. And unlike her mama, Madison will sit with all of that. She'll hold all of that in, and I'll never know, because this is not who she is. Like, that's just where we're different, right?
Yeah.
So a part of this is my strength is built in how I must posture and position myself for my child to see. Yeah. This is how you literally go through trauma.
This is how you go through, yes.
This is how you walk through hell. Don't mean she don't know sometimes her mama cry. And when I go outside that door, she know what I'm doing, right? When she open up the door, she hear me singing loud as a mug, right, down Valley Road. But the reality of it is, I have to show her, baby, you don't know what hand life is going to deal you. As my sister started this, baby girl, you could be in the middle of your kitchen. A Negro can walk in and say, I want to quit this and I want to quit you. I need you to know life don't end there. Baby girl, I need you to know that even with all your smarts, all your schooling, and all your intelligence, you will come up against people that look like you and some that don't, that will still question your intelligence. I need you to still know how to press, sweetheart. Life don't stop there. And I have to live that, Keisha. I have to intentionally check my feelings. Check whatever punk I'm going to be from day to day at the door, because I have a 13-year-old that needs to realize, baby, the pandemic ain't going to kill your mama. The pandemic ain't going to kill you, right? She told me the other day she did an interview with my mom about my mom grew up in the MLK era. Baby, my baby, we got to make sure as girls, specifically our girls, understand survival. And so a large part of people like, Sean, you don't feel no kind of way? I can't afford to. Now, Madison go outside and play for a few hours and maybe I could tear up in my house and be pissed off and be mad. And somebody said something that was so interesting to me. Oh my God. And they challenged me on how I looked at it. And I said it was like people that feel like, or they said on lines of if people that may not be emotionally affected by this pandemic are those that may not be leading something. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I said with it, I wrestled with that thing. But then I was like, man, I'm leading the whole household. May not be a job to somebody else. May not be a business. It may not be a church. But I'm trying to lead this child. I'm leading this home. Right? Because this girl gonna someday be the leader of a business. Right. Or the leader of a school. Or
she gonna be the leader of our world.
Right. So at the end of the day, and that may not look the same, but for real, ain't no days off over here, right? So I have to sit with that privately. Because privately, I have to sit with that and say, you know what? This pandemic, it can't turn me into a punk. It cannot. And now that the world has slowed down long enough for the mama in me to catch up, let me make sure I'm being responsible with this time that God has given me that people now look at as a pause. And I just really wish we would just be fair across the board, right? And that's not being insensitive to those that feel a certain way, but there's also a voice that's missing. Yeah. Those of us that still trying to figure it out. And because for whatever we're trying to balance and keep in the air, we can't afford, to be in these spaces for too long without moving forward and pressing forward to realize, okay, God, what do you want me to produce? Or what do you want me to birth from this? Because guess what? Being a mother of 3, and I know being a mother of 1, birthing season ain't convenient at all.
And I say that to say I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with you. I just don't want to do it in this space of competition. I want to do it from this space of authenticity of God linking all of us together and all these pieces coming together and us doing what the Acts church did. I took my pod. You took your pod.
We brought it together.
Everybody had enough.
Everybody had more than enough.
More than enough.
More than enough.
I want to do it in the way that the little boy with the 2 fish and the 5 loaves did. Matter of fact, I want to do it in the way that his mama did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what I know about that mama is, she packed a lunch for that boy because she knew he was going to be away from her all day. I don't know if she had to work. I don't know what she had to do. I do know that she was poor because she used barley. Yeah. You pick up barley anywhere along the road.
Come on. Yeah.
But I want to be like her. I want to take whatever I got and put it with whatever you got. And then we all got enough. I want to do that. And I want to do it in a way where, listen, that God is glorified.
And that's the assignment, I believe, sister. I believe as we conclude on tonight, if I'm taking anything from this, God is like, Sean, don't miss me. Do not miss,
Don't miss me.
me. Don't miss the moment of collaboration. I mean, matter of fact, be intentional about seeking collaboration and partnerships, thought partners. Don't even shy away from critique and criticism. Lean into it. Go with it. Right? Some would get it, some would not. But lean into criticism even the more. Lean. If people giving you correction, lean into it. It may not feel good. You may even have a response, right? Because your mouth be quick sometimes. But lean into it, right? And process it. What you can use it. What's minutia, throw it back out, right? But lean into it. Do not be afraid of personal growth in this hour, professional development in this hour, spiritual maturity in this hour. Just lean into, get as much as you can, because after this, this is probably the slowest I believe I'm gonna ever be, right? And so I wake up and I plan out my hours. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna work on this, and at the end of the day, I feel so accomplished. And I'm like, God, whenever you allow the sun to shine again, in whatever capacity, I don't want to miss it. I do not want to. And as many people I can snatch and take with me, and I do mean snatch. I'm talking not politely grab, snatch and take with me, because I believe what God is wanting to reestablish and what God is wanting us to co-create along with him, it's going to take all of us, Keesha, to do it together. And I don't want to be on the, and here's what you said. I love me, but I also love God's people enough to say, I want you to win too, baby, because my lot has been decided for Sean. And I want to help you celebrate your life too, because it ain't fun shopping by yourself. I mean, now and again, you just want to have somebody that can throw it in the bag with you. So I want you to win, sister.
Or brother. Throw it in the circle with you.
Listen, throw it in, right? And so when I pray. Here's my prayer.
Yeah.
The people of God get to that place. Yeah. And we just don't miss that. Because again, I believe we can come up against any force when we learn how to be and do life together from this lens of what do you bring individually to the table as your most authentic self. I don't want nobody but Keesha from Southside